Hey guys, you've seen me out in the mountains, hiking on trails, even jumping out of an airplane. But you don't have to leave the city to connect with Mother Nature. I'm going to take you on a foraging trip within a 1-block radius of my apartment. And in that little space, we're going to get a salad for dinner tonight. Let's go. Welcome to my backyard. This is where I start all my foraging trips. And it's really the best place to start because it's close to home. Unfortunately, they just mowed, so there's actually not a lot to pick here. But we're looking for wild weeds, so I'm gonna look where weeds grow. Like sometimes along the wall or right here along the deck. They always miss the spot. See, my neighbors, they put in this patio and they like to sit here, have drinks with friends, whatever. But that's not the reason I like it. I like it because they always miss mowing right here. And here grows my favorite wild edible, chickweed. Not only does it taste great, but it also helps with respiratory issues and wards off colds. In fact, I make a tincture out of white vinegar in this guy. But also, if you have any burns or bug bites, you just crunch it up and rub it on there. It has a nice cooling sensation, and the chemicals in the plant will help heal that wound. So I'm gonna pick some of this actually, and that'll be the beginning of my foraging. I've got my chickweed, now we're moving on to the next spot. The apartment has a community vegetable garden. But I'm not picking vegetables, I'm picking edible weeds. You can tell this is an urban garden because we have the random shopping cart, somebody's coffee table, it's under some stairs. I mean, people put gardens wherever they can, but they're doing pretty well. You see the beans, we got some strawberries over there. But follow me, this is what I'm looking for. See, we have all this more chickweed, and right above it, another one of my favorites, stinging nettle. He tastes like buttered spinach when you cook him up, and if you make a tea out of the dried leaves, it helps clear any congestion you have when you have a cold. And he really will sting you, that's how he got his name. See, you can see all the thorns on there, on the leaves and the stem. But you got chickweed right here to help you out afterwards. So into the bag he goes, crunch it up. Ow, 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 ow. It really does hurt. Oh, jackpot. Follow me. This guy is called wild lettuce. And you see here this white sap where I just picked the leaves? This stuff, in a disaster situation, is a lifesaver. It has a compound that's like a mild form of morphine. So if you have an injury, you can make a tea out of a half a dozen to a dozen of the leaves. It'll help kill your pain and help you fall asleep. Very important. Now, we're done here in the backyard. Let's see what the city has. So I'm out in the city, I'm gonna find some wild edibles. And just like the weeds back home, I'm gonna look where weeds grow. Right here along the wall, you see all this stuff here, and here's another one of my favorites. This guy's called hedge mustard. It tastes like wasabi and goes great with fish. You can eat every part of it, the leaves, the stem, the flower, the whole thing. But when you're out foraging in the city, you gotta remember, people are walking their dogs, some people urinate in public. Now in an emergency situation, urine's sterile, it's really not that big a deal. But for everyday foraging, from here down is the P-zone, I don't pick it. Let's see what's next. This guy here is called mallow. He looks just like a geranium leaf, only there's that red spot right in the center. I don't know if you can see that. He's a great lettuce replacement. I like to cook him though because there are little fine hairs along the leaf. First time I ate this, the hairs irritated my throat. I thought it was closing up and I'd eaten the wrong thing. I was gonna die. Luckily, I was wrong. So, I'm gonna take a little bit of mallow. Because it's out in the open, it's a little safer from the P-zone, and I'm gonna cook him up, so I'm not too worried about it. Now, a lot of the places you'd think to look, like public parks or open spaces, you actually have to be very careful of because they tend to spray for the very weeds we're looking for. And the last thing you want to do is eat something with weed killer all over it. But, oh, this is a gold mine if you can find it. This is an orange tree. Now, that's on private property, so I'm gonna stay here on the sidewalk. But if any of that fruit were hanging over the sidewalk or any public property, it's considered public fruit, and the rule is, it's fair game. Something you want to be careful of is a lot of ornamentals, because a lot of them tend to be poisonous. But a very common one is rosemary. So, even in an emergency situation, you can have rosemary chicken. Well, I'm back home, and there are 2 last plants I want to show you. And these are the reasons why you need to always know what you're picking before you're picking. You see this guy? Deadly nightshade. This is one of the deadliest plants on the planet. But over here is an even deadlier plant. It's called oleander. It's an ornamental, it's not native. There's an infamous story of a troop of Boy Scouts who went looking for sticks to cook their dinner over. And they picked some oleander sticks from a nearby yard. This plant is so deadly that just by cooking over those few sticks, the entire troop was dead the next day. The poison just infused from the smoke. Always know what you're picking. So you don't have to get out of the city to enjoy a little bit of nature's bounty. Just make sure, know what you're picking, and always wash what you're picking. Now get out there and play.